Good testimony from Hegseth and Pam Bondi, and it's reassuring to see on two very important positions, Defense Secretary and the Justice Department, there are going to be people at the top with lights on in their head when it comes to the crises facing America, DEI, lawfare. What's been good this week is that he seems to have a team put in place or ready to go that understands, to use the relatively trite phrase, what time it is. And you can see that the left really doesn't still know how to handle this. Really, it's not just Trump. It's so many tens of millions of Americans who are just fed up with the Washington way on issues ranging from lawfare to DEI. Now, Pete Hegseth, he probably has, out of all the nominees, the most challenging issues facing him because there were allegations about his past activities, whether he drank too much, the sort of personal scandal stuff that can easily derail a nominee. But I recall seeing earlier this week, I think Fox News put something out that detailed his record as a warfighter. Incredibly impressive. Now, I know Pete Hegseth slightly, and I tell you, if I had known he was such a hero, man, what a great American. What he did as a military leader, seeing combat, just incredible. Plus, he's been a fighter in terms of policies for veterans and for getting the military back to doing what it's supposed to do, which is defending the country, not being used as a vehicle for social justice and to brainwash our troops so that they are alienated from the country that they're supposed to defend. So let's go to the brief clip by Pete Hegseth, I think, where he introduces some of these issues.
Our standards will be high and they will be equal, not equitable. That's a very different word. We need to make sure every warrior is fully qualified on their assigned weapon system, every pilot's fully qualified and current on the aircraft they are flying, and every general or flag officer is selected for leadership or promotion purely based on performance, readiness, and merit. Leaders at all levels will be held accountable, and warfighting and lethality and the readiness of the troops and their families will be our only focus.
I tell you, if I were in the military, after 4 years of woke, racist brainwashing, transgender extremism, excuses and apologies for America strength, I'd be excited Pete Hegseth is taking over. And I think his presence at the Pentagon is going to, just in and of itself, he may not even have to do that much. His presence at the Pentagon will not only increase morale in our current fighting force and among our military troops, but also increase recruitment. And so I think he should be, as I was jokingly saying, he should have been confirmed yesterday, even before this abusive committee process. But the Democrats and the left lost big against Hegseth, as we see from this section of his hearings here.
Let's talk specifically about some of these DEI programs that have been funded. In our academies, specifically the Air Force Academy, it was advised as disfavored language to refer to your mom and dad as mom and dad. Okay? Dear mom and dad, I'm writing home. Don't say that. That's insane. We're all just people. You can't say that either. And in an effort to police this, in a 1984 Orwellian novel, there was actually an eyes and ears program to rat on your fellow students who might say mom and dad. Or just say, in a tough situation, you know what, we're all just people. Can't say that.
So, I mean, we see the type of content that Hegseth was able to generate as a result of his presence, and content meaning education about the woke racism in our military. And as Senator Schmidt, one of my new favorite senators in the Senate, highlighted, the military academies are a locus of evil when it comes to this woke racism training, this anti-American DEI training. Judicial Watch has had several lawsuits expose some of the details that even Senator Schmidt is referencing there. But Hegseth just mowed down, ground over, rolled over the left-wing senators there. And of course, the Republicans did a relatively good job of highlighting those issues as we showed there. So, and as a result, my thinking is there isn't another cabinet official who's going to face any significant chance of losing in the Senate. Now, of course, the leftist Democrats, even though Hegseth is likely to be confirmed, they don't want him to be confirmed in a timely way, placing our national security at risk. So practically speaking, he could have been confirmed as soon as, I think, on Monday, but because Democrats are going to exercise their prerogatives to keep that position open until Thursday and not get a final vote until days after he'd be ready, practically speaking, for a final vote. Of course, the other big issue is lawfare, the abuse of power by the Biden gang in collusion with the Pelosi Congress, prosecutors in political prosecutors in Georgia, New York, and other states to target Trump and his supporters. Now, Pam Bondi testified briefly about what she wants to do here. Let's run that first introductory clip of Pam.
The partisanship, the weaponization will be gone. America will have one tier of justice for all.
And then she got into it with a Democratic senator. And you can see Pam Bondi is no shrinking violet. She is the nominee for Attorney General. She's former Florida Attorney General. And, you know, the Democrats seem to think, I say Democrats, but it's this leftist approach. They think that bullying and abusing you is somehow politically smart, is somehow a politically smart thing to do. Let's watch this.
You have said that Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted in the Trump administration. What Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted and why?
I said that on TV. I said prosecutors will be prosecuted, to finish the quote, if bad. Investigators will be investigated. You know, we all take an oath, Senator, to uphold the law. None of us are above the law. Let me give you a really good example of a bad lawyer within the Justice Department, a guy named Klein Smith, who altered a FISA warrant, one of the most important things we can do in this country. So will everyone be held to an equal, fair system of justice if I am the next Attorney General? Absolutely. And no one is above the law.
Under what circumstances will you prosecute journalists for what they write?
I believe in the freedom of speech. Only if anyone commits a crime. It's pretty basic, Senator, with anything, with any victim. And this goes back to my entire career, for 18 years as a prosecutor and then 8 years as Florida's Attorney General. You find the facts of the case, you apply the law in good faith, and you treat everyone fairly.
And it would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward, or we're going to.
Well, good for her. I thought her testimony was generally pretty good, and she didn't back down from a willingness to investigate what needs to be investigated. I mean, she's right in the sense that, and of course, Senator Whitehouse was completely oblivious in asking that question. You don't charge someone, you don't pick someone out and then find a crime. As she pointed out, that's exactly what they did with Trump. What we're concerned about is whether the conduct that we had so many concerns about was criminal or not. So using the Justice Department to do exactly what White House said, which is to look at a person you don't like and then spend resources to try to put him in jail simply because you don't like him politically or you want to interfere with the election or cause other political repercussions. If that happened as I describe it, it would be a crime. Or it would be criminal in the sense it would be more than one crime. And I think that needs a criminal investigation. But I've seen the abuses by Jack Smith and his people. I know what their basis for their charges on Trump were not in good faith. Judicial Watch had direct experience in some of the claims they were making. As I've highlighted here for you before, the Biden Justice Department sent the FBI to my home to issue a subpoena to me. They subsequently issued a subpoena to Judicial Watch. But Jack Smith's prosecutors, I had 3 prosecutors from Jack Smith's office haul me before a grand jury as a, quote, a witness and harass me for 4 hours. And it was an argument about politics and our First Amendment activities. Our protected First Amendment activities is Judicial Watch. Imagine the head of the ACLU being hauled in because they don't like the criticism. The Justice Department didn't like their criticism. I want justice for what happened. And I hope Pam Bondi gets to it. And as I've highlighted before, I think that President Trump should just frankly appoint a special prosecutor to investigate all those Justice Department officials, some of whom are probably still in the Justice Department. So should the Justice Department investigate the Justice Department? I don't think so. So some good testimony from Hegseth and Pam Bondi, and it's reassuring to see on 2 very important positions, Defense Secretary and the Justice Department, there are going to be people at the top with lights on in their head when it comes to the crises facing America, DEI, lawfare. So good stuff. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.